From BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin. With your host, Shane Frederick.
This is the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin. My name is Shane Frederick. I'm the host, and joining me today is Minnesota State junior defenseman Tony Malinowski. Hi, Tony. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's off week for you guys, but you just got off the rink, so you didn't have an off day today, but you guys are coming off a split against St. Thomas, lost at home, 3-2 in overtime, won on Saturday, 5-2 up in the Twin Cities, and now you get a little bit of a break after 10 games in a row. Probably comes at a good time. It seems like that's worked out. You guys had about 5 weeks and then a break, 5 weeks and a break. Is that about the right time, would you say, for you guys, or what's ideal, do you think?
Yeah, playing and then obviously getting that break at the right time is always good. It just seems like the schedule worked in our favor this year, but whenever you get an off weekend, you want to take full advantage of it. Whether that's working on your shot or your skating or working on something in your game to get better or taking some time off to regroup. So I know all the guys appreciate the off weekend right now and just doing whatever they can to get better. Or like I said, take some time off, regroup, and we got a busy schedule coming up. So
yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule going forward, it's a real meat grinder because you go to Bemidji, you come home, you play Michigan Tech, which based on where the standings are now and what happens the previous weekend could be somebody's going to be raising the McNaughton Cup that weekend, and possibly one of you two teams, unless something weird happens in the next 2 weeks. And then it goes right into the playoffs from there. And as you guys have known, you look at whether you finish first, second. You look at the bottom of the standings. They're teams that you've had some little bit of difficult times with. So nothing's going to be easy. Whether it's the first round. It's been a grind, and this break. How do you best take advantage of that to kind of prepare yourself for what's coming up?
yeah, I think every guy's different. Everybody knows their body at this point of the season, and there's guys that are in the rink all the time, and then there's guys that are taking full advantage of this. So each guy's a little different, but everyone's doing whatever they need to do, but it's a good timing for the break. So do what you can.
Sure, everybody being different. How is it for you? What's your approach?
Definitely take the time off when we have the time off. It's been a long season, so right now it's whenever you get a break, you got to take full advantage of it to regroup. But also at the same time, this is a great opportunity to get better in something, whether that's shooting pucks or pulling somebody aside. So if I could find the happy median, that's what I'll try to do. But yeah, when there's a day off or we have a practice, just take full advantage of it.
Yeah, for you, I mean, this is you've played 28 games, 28 of the 30 games, so that's a career high. You played 17 games last year, 10 games in 2021. And then your first year at Minnesota State, 2019-20 was a redshirt season, and we can talk about that in a second. But have you felt the wear and tear of playing more games than you've played before, and to play 28 games, and certainly I'm guessing more minutes per game probably too, just based on non-scientific observation from the press box.
Yeah. Our staff does a good job with keeping us in shape and keeping us ready to go. So, when you look at my past, I haven't played a lot of games, but whenever my number's called, you got to be ready. So right now, I'm feeling great and just doing what I can to help the team. But I'm happy with where I'm at, and like I said, this off weekend will. I'll regroup and, turn the page on Monday.
What's it been like for you this year? Just being more in terms of being in a regular role with the team, playing almost every night. is it just, how did you approach the season, and how have you kind of approached things as that's gone on, knowing that you got an opportunity to play every night, and where you can help out, where your game's improved?
Yeah, I mean, in the off season, I train, I prepare like every other off season, and now playing more games and learning from guys that have been in the lineup all 4 years, and I'm just trying to do what I can to do my job, do my role, and then help out the younger guys as well. The more games I play, the more experience I get. If I see something, I can help out a younger guy. Just like when I was a freshman, the seniors did the same thing for me. So, the more games I've played, I feel like I can give good advice to the younger guys, and that's why this culture is second to none. I mean, it just filters through every year of guys leaving and then guys stepping up to help out the younger guys. So.
Yeah, and who were some of those players? You said, when you were a freshman that you looked up to, or who gave you good advice, and whether it was positionally or just team-wise?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at my freshman year, Connor Mackey was a guy who I asked a lot of questions to, and probably got annoyed with me asking so many questions. But I mean, even the whole leadership group, like Rivy, just observing him and seeing what he does every day and what the expectations are here at Mark too. I mean, that whole senior class created a great foundation for me, and then for my class as well, to teach us, okay, this is how we do things here. These are the expectations. Follow us. And then when it's your time, when you guys are seniors, you pass that down to the freshmen. So it just filters through, and that's that's our goal as upperclassmen now, is to help out the younger guys.
Well, as a journalist or a former journalist, I say there's no issue with you asking questions, whether they're good questions, bad questions, smart ones, dumb ones,
right.
Anything you can to get some information and help yourself and help what you're doing makes a lot of sense. So,
right.
As long as you're not asking the same question over and over, right?
Right. So I should text Mackey right now and say I'm sorry for all the questions. And so I've never really gave him a apology, but
now are you getting those questions now from younger guys, and trying to be patient with them?
Yeah, just helping them out, and it's okay to ask questions. Sure. I tell them that, and I've been in your shoes, so yeah, I get some questions, some funny questions as well, but
without naming names. Can you tell a funny one, or name a name if you want? It's
I won't tell the question, but Wheels has some good questions that he's asked me this season, but I won't go into much more than.
Who's that?
Wheeler, Mason Wheeler.
Mason Wheeler. Okay,
he's got some good ones. He's got some good ones where I answer him, and then we're just gonna pretend like he didn't say that.
That's pretty funny that you went with I'll name the name and not the.
Yeah. No, he's one of my good buddies, so
that's good.
You'll appreciate it.
Well, I mean, and that's something, as a decor, you guys, I've talked about this, I've written about this a couple of times, but just the way this season has gone for you guys, and I think, it's turned some heads because the bar has been raised so high, and as I wrote this past weekend, you're still in first place, you're 13th in the pairwise, you've won 9 of your last 10 games. Things are actually pretty good right now, but people don't really love watching you lose at home, and I'm sure you guys don't love it either. But given all that, there has been a lot of transition from a real core group that was here for 4 years and did some great things, and you were a part of that. But then different players go into different roles, and new players come in, and just even the turnover in the decor in terms of who's playing every night. It's when it's half of 6, that's a lot. And whether that's you being a regular as opposed to kind of in and out of the lineup, compared to Jake and Akito and Andy, there's 3 kind of almost wide open spots. And until that gets solidified, there's going to be probably some, as Mike Hastings says, peaks and valleys.
Right. And it starts in practice with guys see that, and it creates a competitive atmosphere. with the forwards, the D, and the goalie. So it pushes everyone every day, knowing that there's spots available, and I think that's just going to help us out in the long run.
Have you gotten more comfortable as the season's gone on? I kind of mentioned it earlier a little bit, but just as far as just, being that regular and like kind of knowing maybe week to week a little bit more about what you're getting, as opposed to kind of that spot duty in the past where you may not play the next night, not because of anything you did right or wrong. It might be because of an injury or just a rotation or whatever it might be. But it seems like you've kind of solidified a spot. And is that just does comfort go with that hand in hand?
Yeah, but that's not the mindset that we'll have or I'll have. I don't think comfort. I think there's some good things to comfort, but there's also a lot of bad things that come with that as well. And I want to continue to get better. So to say, that my spot is a lock is not true, because, if someone has a better week of practice and I, screw up, that's the competitive atmosphere that I'm talking about. And, I don't want that in my game. So I don't look at it as my spot's solidified. I look at it as I have an opportunity, to play Friday and Saturday night, and I want to be the one that's putting the jersey over my shoulder pads.
Sure.
And I selfishly don't want anyone to take that.
Right,
I'm sure everyone else is thinking the same thing, but
What was your freshman year like? I mean, you didn't play it. You're listed as a red shirt. Was that part of the deal going in, or was it just at some point that I'm trying to recall covering the team that season? I'd see you around, but was that just something that was kind of a numbers thing, and you're kind of waiting things out for an opportunity, or?
Yeah, I think it just kind of happened. When you look at our D-core, our D-core was deep and really good, solid in the back end. I took it as more of a year to develop and grow. I made my practices my games, and that's how I viewed it as an opportunity to grow and learn, our systems and what we do here. And I think everyone has their own path, and to sit here now and reflect on my freshman year, my sophomore year. I wouldn't change a thing just because of the people that I've met, the lessons that I learned, how I grew as a player on the ice, and thinking in a different manner. It's I value that, I appreciate that. Obviously it wasn't ideal. Obviously everybody wants to play, but through my freshman year not playing, I learned a lot from the coaches, from other teammates. So I appreciate that, and now I'm in the lineup looking back. I think that really helped me just to kind of take a step back and look at other people's games and learn and take what I like from somebody's game and put it in mine. What
when you get to this point now and you kind of look back at that, what was there some frustration that went along with it, or was that later? I mean, it's easy for players to kind of look around and see the landscape of a team, especially as a freshman. You go, boy, when would I play?
Right,
You look at that team and you know what their goals and expectations are and what they are as veterans, and you're trying to see if you can find your way into that. And how do you balance frustration with patience, with learning, as you just mentioned, and try to kind of keep that positive attitude going forward?
Yeah, at the end of the day, everybody wants to play. Everyone wants to be in the lineup Friday, Saturday. But as Coach mentioned, you have to bring something to the table every day. And that's what I kind of always had in the back of my head is, okay, if I'm not contributing Friday, Saturday night, I have to contribute in another way. And that could be in practices, off the ice. There's no time to be a distraction to the guys that are playing. So, if the guys who are playing need anything, or if I could just be there, and bring some energy or finish my bump in practice or get the puck deep. Like that's what I was. That's my mindset. Was my practices are my games, and I have to bring something to the table, just so I don't fall back or not be a part of the team.
Right. This season you have 8 points, I believe, 6 points. Sorry,
Yep.
one goal, 5 assists, 6 points. No goals last year, 1 goal as sophomore when you first started playing. And then each of your year of junior hockey, 1 goal each. And I know you're defensive defenseman. We can use all the hockey cliches. You're 6'5", you're rangy, defensive defenseman. Whatever you want to call it. You're probably looking forward to that time when you maybe get a crooked number goal, probably.
Yeah. Everyone likes scoring. Everyone likes getting points.
Yeah.
As a defensive defenseman, I value other things, maybe
Sure.
like my plus minus. That might be a goal for an offensive forward. So I look at that. But I know my role. I know my job. My job is to keep the puck out of the net. If I can, go north with it and give it to the forwards and let them score, I'm just as happy.
Sure.
So, everybody on the team has a role, and I know mine, and I just try to do it to the best of my ability.
And just noticing you when you're out there. I mean, it seems like you're not afraid to shoot the puck. At least try to get it on net, right, and try to get it deep. When it comes to you to try to make a good play or get something to the net, and see if you guys can, especially with some of these games have gone, try to get a little bit of traffic and scramble in front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, all goals aren't highlight reel goals.
Yeah.
So, just getting the pucks to the net or giving it to the forwards and letting them go to work below the goal line and making a play. So, I like scoring goals. I like being offense too. So don't get that wrong. But my job's to keep the puck out of the net. So.
Right. At 6'5", I assume are you the tallest guy on the team?
Yeah,
probably have been. And probably have been for a while.
Yeah. I get the same spot in the team picture every year. So right center on the top row. So yeah.
What have you always been one of the taller guys on your team going back to when you were a kid, or did
Not
you have
as-
a big spurt? at
Yeah,
some point?
I had a big spurt. Growing up, no, I was never really the biggest kid on the team. There's definitely other guys bigger than me, but I want to say around my sophomore summers, that's when I really took off and grew. So I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It helped me out, and my junior year in high school, that's kind of when I figured my game out with my size too. So,
Yeah. And that's a hard thing, I think, for the taller guys. And I say that not as a tall guy myself, but my son was a tall guy and played hockey, and I think that was always something trying to figure out, how to play in that body,
Right.
Compared
Right.
to sometimes those little guys can kind of zip around the
Oh,
rink a little bit, and you're trying to figure out that's where your reach or your size or learn to have a good stick. I mean, you end up being a good defenseman that way, right?
Yeah. I'll take like you said, my stick or my size and use that to my advantage, and vice versa. You got to think about a small forward who's coming after you. They're going to use their skill sets. So, I'm not complaining about my size.
So you're from Clarkson, Michigan,
Yep.
which is outer suburb of Detroit. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, about an hour 15, hour and a half north of Detroit.
Okay.
Yep.
Growing up there, what was your hockey experience? When did you start playing? And what was how did you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, so my whole family's football, basketball, baseball. Nobody in my family played hockey. But actually, how I got into it, I was probably around 5 years old. My neighbor played hockey, so he was playing street hockey, and I went over there, and my neighbor's dad was the coach, and he's just like, hey, why don't you come out to an open skate? I did that and immediately fell in love with the game. And I growing up, I played football, I played basketball, and I tell this story a lot. My dad put me in hockey just to toughen me up for football. And as I got older, I was just kind of went to the hockey stick instead of the football. And Dad was like, okay, you can do what you want. And eventually, when I went through high school, I had to pick one, and it came down to hockey, and I just went with it. So
wow,
yeah.
What did you? Are you a big? I assume Detroit fan for most sports. Then Red Wings, Pistons, Lions.
It's tough to be a Lions fan, but Yeah.
I'm a Packers fan, and you got bragging rights this year on me.
Yeah. Well, last couple of years, I should say, for a long time, the Lions have disappointed me, but that's fine. That's fine. Still a fan.
That's and then I guess Red Wings and Pistons and Tigers. Then, I suppose.
Yeah, and just going to the Tigers games in the off season, and Red Wings games when I was younger, going to Joe Louis, and I was a big. My whole family's a big Detroit fan, so.
Well, even if you were redshirting, it's unfortunate about 1920 with the Frozen Four would have been in Detroit.
I know.
And with the way that team was going, I think a lot of people had their eye on going to Detroit before COVID wiped out the season.
I had a lot of friends and family had that date circled, and I would have had a ton of people there regardless I was playing or not.
Yeah.
Just going to the Frozen Four in general is awesome, but to have it in your hometown is pretty special.
Yeah. When did you follow college hockey then? Did you get to some point where you were paying attention to that and started thinking about that being a real possibility?
Yeah. College hockey, yes. The Michigan States. As I got older and went to high school, I was looking at the smaller schools and being like, a Minnesota State, and I remember going down to a tournament in Omaha and being like, Omaha, and then seeing their facilities,
right.
And then I was like, okay, what else is out there? And just Googling different universities. That's when I started to get interested in college hockey. Like, it's the smaller schools that are doing really well, which I thought was really cool because I never heard of some of these schools, making it far into the playoffs. So then I started to get more into it and follow it more once I was like, okay, these smaller schools are kind of giving it to the Big Ten, which I only knew about the Big Ten. So it was cool, and that's when it really took off.
And then you get out of Michigan, and there's so many. You go up to the UP. Obviously, there's 3 programs up there. There's Ferris State and Western Michigan, and there's a lot of programs right there in Michigan. But like a lot of players nowadays, I think going back, if you go back 20 years, it might be a little different. But I think nowadays, once you start playing junior hockey and you went to Des Moines, right? Mm-hmm. Now that kind of world is opened up for wherever you really want to go. It doesn't seem like you're limited geographically to say, well, I'm from Minnesota, I want to stay in Minnesota. I'm from Michigan, I want to stay in Michigan. I'm from the Northeast, I want to stay in the Northeast. You kind of get to that junior level, and your teammates and your guys you're playing against are committing to schools all over the country. So how did you end up at Minnesota State?
So I was actually in a tournament here in Blaine my junior year of high school. Yes. And it happened, it was kind of weird. It was either Saturday night we lost, so we were out of the tournament, and Coach Hastings was there and Nodder was at the game. So then following the game, this was late at night, they're like, hey, come down to visit. My flight was on Sunday back to Michigan. So I came down here and had a late dinner with them, and then got up Sunday morning, checked out the campus, and went back to the cities, flew out to Michigan. But I remember driving back up to the cities before my flight, and was, I told my dad, I said, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. So I knew right away that this was a special place, and the facilities were awesome, and I really liked the guys and the coaching staff too. So it was a no-brainer for me.
Wow, that's when you were at that tournament, did you have any idea that would be something that you'd end up doing, like getting an opportunity to go to a quick campus visit and coach's visit? And or were you being recruited by anybody else at the time, or were you going through any of that process?
Well, after the game, after we lost, I was disappointed, and then I came out of the locker room, and they said, come on down.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's a quick turnaround. I wasn't expecting to go on to go to Mankato after we lost. But no, I knew it was a no-brainer, especially going to juniors. So this was obviously before, but I knew that I was leaving to go to juniors my senior year. So I was going to be out of state anyways. Mm-hmm. So I was open to anything. And then, like I said, the facilities, everything was awesome, and I committed there right away, and then went to Des Moines, and then I was happy because going to being from Michigan, most of my friends were going to Michigan State or a Michigan-based school,
yep.
And when I was in Des Moines, I was like, I'm very happy. I'm doing my own thing. There's nobody from my hometown that's here at Minnesota State. So I was like, okay, I'm doing something different. And kind of cool to do your own thing.
Yeah. And kind of carve out your own path that way.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And I loved it ever since the second I got here, my freshman year. The town, the university, so everything's been great.
What's your major?
Business management.
Business management. Are you graduating this year, or are you on that path? And after a redshirt year and a COVID year, you probably have some time left.
Yeah. Yep. So I'll graduate this year, and then the plan is to start my master's.
Okay.
So that's the plan right now.
Finish out your eligibility then here.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yep. That's the plan.
It's quite. I mean, everybody's got a different path, and it's kind of cool to see that how that works out for different players and how they get here and where they go. Yeah.
It's just nice talking to people too, because to pick their brain, and their path is way different than my path, and they think that their path is great. I think my path is unique too. So it's nice to leads to good conversations.
Sure. What else do you like about the school besides besides hockey?
Yeah, hockey aside, the campus is great. The people involved with the school are great. Even when you're out and about, it's not a big university. It's a university that's feels like it's everybody knows each other, and when you're walking around campus, whether that's a professor or somebody else, a staff member, might run into you, say hi, or maybe you're out at the grocery store and a fan stops you, and so I think that's cool. And there's a lot of stuff to do in Mankato. It's not like Mankato is in the middle of nowhere, like some of these schools that we go to, but there's plenty of stuff to do here, and the people in Mankato make it a special place.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck going forward. Enjoy the rest of your bye week, off week, idle week, whatever people want to call it, and get ready for that big grind after that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's Tony Malinowski, everyone. I'm Shane Frederick. This has been the Maverick Hockey Live podcast presented by Dunkin. We'll see you next week.